Homes destroyed in Ukraine's capital, Kyiv. Russia's invasion force leaves a trail of damage in the city as residents take shelter in underground metro stations, fearful of further attacks. On Friday, the White House ramped up its pressure on Moscow.
Following a telephone conversation President Biden held with European Commission President Ursula von der Leyen, and in alignment with the decision by our European allies, the United States will join them in sanctioning President Putin and Foreign Minister Lavrov and members of the Russian National Security Team.
Russian President Vladimir Putin had urged the Ukrainian military to overthrow its government, while Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky called for resistance, saying that he and his soldiers are in Kyiv to defend the country.
Protect our sky! Protect our sky!
In Brussels, Ukrainians protested outside of NATO headquarters on Friday as leaders of the military alliance, as well as Finland, Sweden, and the European Union, convened an emergency summit.
We fully support Ukraine's sovereignty and territorial integrity, its right of self-defense, and its right to choose its own path.
The military alliance activated its defense plans, deploying additional forces to NATO's eastern flank.
Obviously, reinforcing Ukraine's neighbors who are in NATO, we see that happening already. But otherwise, there's not too much. I mean, because we know that the U.S. and NATO aren't going to get involved in a war with Russia taking place on Ukrainian soil. So there's a limit to what anybody can do.
U.S. President Joe Biden participated in the NATO summit virtually and also spoke to Zelensky. Earlier this week, Biden deployed more American troops to reassure NATO allies. Friday's sanctions on Putin personally are in addition to the latest rounds of Western sanctions slapped against Russia on Thursday. While targeted to Moscow, the sanctions could also hurt Americans economically and Biden politically.
And we have to hope that whatever repercussions there are end up being more in the short term on the economic side, with things like gas prices and food availability and prices, and don't hit more broadly with cyber attacks on our own banking system or on the electrical grid.
So far, more than 50,000 Ukrainians have left the country, according to the United Nations, with the majority pouring into Poland and Moldova. Patsy, Widakuswara, VOA News at the White House.